Feels like the last day of term today. Well, last day of the netting season anyway. The boys are out for a couple of days next week, and I've got a couple of consultancy jobs next week, and then a lot of report writing to do. I've had a very hectic winter. It's been very good. We've been battling with floods, not too much ice. We had a couple of jobs in Norfolk cancelled because of flooding, postponed until next winter, bits and pieces. But yeah, it's been interesting. Done a lot of big lakes, a lot of small lakes, all sorts as usual. Been all over the place, and it's been very good. So big thank you to all the clients who have tried to help as best we can. And we are already, November is already booked. We haven't got any dates available in November, and December's pretty busy. We've got 2 weeks booked out in January already. So yeah, it's all looking good for next season already, and our summer schedule's nice and busy as well. So very fortunate to have plenty of work coming in the next few months. Hopefully it'll dry out a bit so we can start being able to get things organised logistically. One of the main issues this winter, we've seen as usual sort of levels of predation, and there's still places that kind of don't really grasp the levels of predation that they can suffer, especially sort of more club waters and match fisheries with cormorants. And yeah, some of the waters we've been to where, as you've seen on some of our social media, that the fish just get pushed into places they don't necessarily want to spend all their time. Which can cause a knee-jerk reaction to stock more fish, which I've always got a problem with, because if you just stock more fish into those environments, then those fish are ultimately just going to go and hide with the others. So you're adding to the biomass, you're adding to the load, adding to the demand for oxygen and the strains on water quality without really understanding why. A lot of the times there are lots of silverfish and lots of just fish in a lot, not all obviously, this is site specific, but the problem a lot of them have is when they stock fish, especially farmed fish, no fault of the fish farms, but the fish are pristine and they're fed all the time on a fish farm, and then they get put into wild environments. So initially you got that knee-jerk reaction where they get caught quite quickly, and a lot of places kind of use that as like, oh well, every time we stock we catch the fish, it's really, really good. But that tends to tail off, as a lot of people will testify, and a lot of the time for those reasons that the fish end up either getting heavily predated upon, they go and seek refuge with other fish, and when they're under this sort of stress, the first thing they'll do is stop feeding anyway. But when they're grouped up under snags or in cages or whatever you put in to prevent or try and prevent the predation, like I say, you get stressed, and there's more of a chance of a heavy parasite infestation, especially as you come into the warmer months. So ways to combat that, in my opinion, are to actually limit the snags in the water and create more of an environment where the fish are constantly moving and active. It's tricky, and it can be quite difficult to establish decent marginal plants, and to get that in your head and try and concentrate on what fish you have got. We go to a lot of places where they'd be much better off investing in an oxygen meter and some supplementary feed rather than thousands of more fish. But that's always been the same, it's always been the case, and thankfully there's lots of places now that kind of can see the wood from the trees in that respect, and learn and get results. Like I say, over the course of the winter we visit lakes that are kind of stuck in the dark ages with things, and ones that are a lot more proactive, and the ones that are more proactive end up having a much better stock, basically. It's all about catches. Everything we do is all about improving fishing, making it safer, getting more bites. That is the ultimate job. That's what the job is. It's improving fisheries. But to do that, it's not all about stocking fish. It really isn't, and it never has been. And obviously some places need to restock, but not many of the ones we go to which do restock reap the benefits. There's a lot of club waters we visit which just have, you know, they restock every year or quite often, and they're not getting the bang for your buck, if you like. They're not getting the returns on the catches, and they just, some of them are so stuck in the way. Normally it's down to one or two people within the club who might hark on back to the dark ages, or insist that, you know, we've always done it like this, or this is and it's like, well, times have changed, you know, with flooding, especially flooding and predation. Like I say, climate and predation are the two biggest factors, I think, that are causing problems with fisheries. I just watched on the news this morning, the Otter Trust are on there saying that the floods are causing havoc to the otter populations, and, you know, they can't hack the floods, and it's all about the otters. And I can't help watching, obviously, as a fishery consultant, looking at that going, what about fish? You know, the flooding wipes out fish stocks quite often, and water quality, and all the crap people are pumping in the rivers. You know, fish get overlooked. So it's up to people like us to try and do as much as we can, and it's up to any custodians of any water to, you know, to wake up and do as much as they possibly can to maintain and improve every water that they're involved with, you know, and kind of burying your head in the sand, or not willing to learn or understand the basics of sort of fishery management. Yeah, so that was Matt just ringing up to say he's at the place where we're netting. So yeah, we're doing a little, quite nice and local today. It's Friday, and we're going to have to electrofish because the lake is horrendous. It's just full of everything. It just hasn't been touched for years, so we won't catch much netting. So we're just going to electrofish, and we're moving fish from a small lake to a little small reservoir, all within the same farm. It's raining again, obviously. It's been a nightmare. But yeah, summer, we've already got some nice summer work booked in, obviously doing unusual, lots and lots of marginal planting, which is always a good thing to improve bank protection, habitat, water quality, so that's never a bad thing. We always encourage that. Some people give up when the birds start pulling up the roots and stuff, but it really is important for those reasons and more, really. You just can't beat it. Well, I can't understand places with bare banks. I can, but then don't moan when your water quality takes a dip and you haven't sort of at least done that, really, because that is something you can do. It is hard to get them established. It's pissing down now, but once it's done, it's a job that's done once and done. That's it. You don't know. It's not like stocking fish. Well, we stock fish once and that's it, really. But like I say, cormorants are a real problem. But like I say, it's a bit like with otters. I think if you can create the whole perimeter of your lake with decent habitat, the fish will keep on the move. There's loads of tricks and things you can do, especially with a bit of supplementary feeding. It really does work. Anyone who thinks it doesn't, just check out some of the videos and places where, you know, they've followed these sort of tasks and seen really good results. And at the end of the day, all we're trying to say is that rather than invest in loads of fish which aren't really doing much for you, and in effect adding to the summer problems, take on board what's going on in the lake now. Don't worry about what was going on in the 70s and 80s, because that is completely irrelevant. It really is. And you can achieve great things. Any water can be improved. Any water can be improved, but quite often there's a reluctance, and quite a few clubs just spend all their money on fish, and then it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. When it goes wrong, it goes very badly wrong. As a few clubs have seen and do every year. You know, there's, like I say, there's nothing really new happening. It's just what we're all facing, greater problems with predation and flooding, especially, and mild winters. It's not nice. We love a cold winter, as does anyone with a fishery, really, because it's almost like a reset button when you have a cold winter. But we just don't have them now. But yeah, it's been great. It's been a long winter. As I get older, I'm sort of thankful for the help of the lads. But yeah, every winter there's enough places we go to which keep me sane, where you know, the changes that we've helped implement, and all we do is advise. You know, we can carry out as much work as is required on these waters, but ultimately it comes down to us leaving the fishery and writing a report and saying, look, this is what I do and why, and leaving it up to the owner to make decisions based on their thoughts. It's not meant to rain today. But yeah, we stopped now. I appreciate people might carry on, but and it probably will get big cold over the weekend, but it was 17 degrees yesterday, and this week we've been netting silvers and they're just milking up the water. There's no need to do it. As it gets warmer, you just don't need to be netting lakes. It's not ideal in my opinion to be moving fish around. If you're just netting to quick survey and moving a few carp around or tench or whatever, but if you've got silverfish, I wouldn't be netting when it gets a bit warmer. So yeah, we can stop and repair everything and clean everything and get it all packed away ready for late October when we start again. And then we get all the tools ready for our summer work and start booking in machinery and materials and things like that. So yeah, it's been very good. And like I say, once again, I'd like to thank all our clients for continuing support.